We're going live. Hello, good evening. So we are at we are season one, episode 10. These are all my guest co-hosts. They're very knowledgeable about the series. We've analyzed it back and forth, and we're going to share our thoughts about episode 10 with you. So hello, good evening, everyone. I see you all in the comments. Already got started talking back and forth with each other, which is great. Let's see. I'm going to start actually, Carrie, you were my first guest. So I'm going to start with you and just anything about the show that pops out or the episode rather. And then we all are very passionate about this episode. We've been talking. So we're going to raise our hands when we want to jump in. Okay. Go ahead, Carrie.
Okay. So, starting off with, the relationship between Potato and Nancy, and that was how crazy that was something that I kind of enjoyed it a little bit because of course I think he's looking for somebody to help him take the lead in his life. He's got his family's kind of lousy, and so I think he likes Nancy, and I think he likes to play back and forth with her.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually one of the highlights for me for the episode was that the cuteness between Nancy and Potato.
Right. Kathy, I think you have feelings about that, don't you?
Yeah, I really liked it. It was cute and it was funny, and it took some of the edge off of Nancy because she really can be abrasive and, bordering on, okay, this is a little too far, rein it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But he has proved himself capable of, putting in her place while still making her understand that he really likes her. I like that little bit where he, put the pie in her face and told her off and then stormed off and then came back and said, "Come here, baby." That was really cute. So I really like that part.
That was cute. Paula, I'm just putting her comment up because she's saying they're cute together.
Yeah.
And Martha's saying they are so cute together, Potato and Nancy. Cindy's agreeing. And this is funny because this is true. Arlene says Nancy's scary sometimes. They did make her quite good, didn't they?
That's what her parents say too.
Yeah. Yes. He has some like dark thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carrie. Keep going.
I also, with Nancy, I think I really like the interaction between her and Cynthia when they were alone together in Cynthia's house. And, Cynthia had that, she couldn't talk about what was bothering her, and, almost had tears in her eyes, and how surprisingly, how very comforting Nancy was to her.
And I love that because Nancy, that's the thing. I always noticed they always put those two together. Nancy's always looking out for Cynthia, even when they did the play and she saw her run off. She made sure she got the girls together. And I think the only time I ever saw like a sweetness or a kindness inside of Nancy is when she had the fear of all of them not being together, even though she was kind of brutally honest to them when she was trying to dish out whatever. I think it's because she's very much indulged and doesn't know how to be kind. But I loved that it was those two together, and it made me cry this scene. I thought that was the best acting that I saw in the entire season was that scene, and those two were amazing together. Whoever wrote that scene, go ahead, Kathy, it was fabulous. Go ahead, Kathy.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yes.
You need a hall pass, Kathy.
You need a hall pass. You need a hall pass.
No, she doesn't need a hall pass, but you can go to the bathroom if you want.
It's just you.
I don't
raise our hands. So I had to.
Okay.
I don't have an eraser. Isn't that what is the eraser was always the hall pass?
I know, it's all good. Cynthia said the Cynthia Nancy scene was wonderful. It was. And Lillian's agreeing. Nancy was so supportive of Cynthia. The acting, like I said, the acting, the directing, the writing of that scene was, I don't know. We don't get we got a lot of singing and dancing and little bits and pieces of an actual scene and dialogue, like, right. And sometimes they were a little fluffy for me or not enough. And but this one was perfect. Go ahead.
What was great about it was the lack of dialogue.
Yes.
That was almost, there was no script there. Cynthia wrote something out.
Yep.
And Nancy read it. Nancy wrote something back, and Cynthia. So it was, they were both touched by what each other wrote, but we never saw what they wrote. They left it to the imagination. I thought that was brilliant. That was better done than any couple of lines of dialogue anyone could have written.
Go ahead, Jan.
I think of the group, Nancy is the most mature. I don't know if it's because of her upbringing, the fact that she's been allowed to kind of do her own thing, be semi-independent, but she seems to be the one that the mother hen, if you were, she's got to keep the group together, and she has to smooth it. Yes, wherever she can. That's why she had to be the one that helped Cynthia out in this show. She had to be the one that, in my opinion, that understood, and I love that scene too. I
like that she was talking about everybody being in love with something or someone, but she was in love with them and the idea of them being friends. I like that. And I thought that was true to her character. Her character never really changed. I think she's the one of the few, she and Cynthia, their characters were true to themselves the whole time. I can't say that for the writing of the other characters, but
right, I can't either.
Yeah, I can for those two. I wanted to share this before we moved on. Paula, hi Paula. The physicality of that scene was incredible. Sometimes you can act just by using your body. So true. Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's what they did. And I love how, I mean, she even laid into her, like, because she was so upset. And yeah, I don't know. The whole thing was really good. And yes, Nikki, a couple of people are saying Nancy is scary sometimes. This is true. But that's what made for that. She is scary because it's almost like she loves with an iron fist, you know, like that kind of, and she feels like she has to be like brutally honest, but she is the one who was constantly making sure she looked out for all of them. And then to see her so like perfectly, I don't know, sweet. I know people hate the word tender, but it was a tender moment in how she handled how she was feeling. I thought that was amazing. Go ahead, Kathy.
One of us said something, they referred to Nancy as the blank of the group. What was that?
Say it again.
Someone here just referred to Nancy as the blank of the group.
The mother hen?
Maybe it was that, but I don't think it was mother hen, but I was going to say she really has taken on the maternal role.
Yeah.
Think about it. She yells at them when she thinks they need it. She's brutally honest when she thinks they need it. And then she's totally empathetic and loving when it's called for. So she really does fill that role quite nicely. I'd almost say she's kind of de facto the leader of the group, although I think that was supposed to be Jane. Yeah.
Lillian says, during the scene between Cynthia and Lydia, when Nancy walked in and Cynthia tells Lydia, I told her everything, that was perfect. And that was her way of, and then she walks out and lets them have their moment. But that was her way of saying, you know, I'm not like the person that came before. I'm trying to do this. You know, It's just not lip service. I really am trying, which is, when you think about it, they're teenagers and it's in the 50s. And wow, what a scary, hard time that must have been for someone in that position. And you think about that because these are based on real stories of things that happened. And, you know, they put them into the grease. So that's pretty like, wow, when you step back for a minute to think of it. Yeah. Carrie, I know you probably want to add more stuff, but did you have something else you want to continue with? Because if not, I'm going to move on to Jan.
No, not at the moment.
You sure? Okay. All right. Go ahead, Jan. You want to jump in? Something that's
I guess it's quick to say what I liked because most of it I was very disappointed with, and I think probably everybody from the comments, both with the group and the listeners, as it were. Bless you, Christina. That scene with Nancy and Cynthia was the good scene. It was. I'm sorry to say it, but everything else could have been kind of thrown in the garbage, and that defined probably the whole season. Maybe I just, it drove me nuts. I didn't like the church scene. It was wrong, as I commented before. You know, I know the 50s, and sorry, team, but the only time that a gal went out and got married before the end of the school year was because she was pregnant. That being rushed into it at that point in time was absolutely ridiculous.
It wasn't believable. It was weak.
That's right. It was not the whole thing. The way that Leonard or Mr. Daniels, whatever you want to call, reacted to her, just kind of standing there and not saying anything. He didn't say, well, we can wait. He didn't say please when she walked out. She just walked out. He just kind of stood there like, huh? I mean, I don't know that it was supposed to be that he was so stunned that he was kind of trying to figure out what was happening. I just think it was poorly played. It was an excellent actor who was put into a mediocre script. To me, the carnival and the race and everything, it was just the writers were tired, and they just said, oh, you know what, just let's take this scene from the original Grease, and oh, by the way, Nancy, you're going to do the part that Sandy did, and you're going to do blah, blah. But it was the same scenes, the same everything, and I did not like it. I was totally disappointed, and that's my comment.
Hold. There's one part that you really said you didn't like, and it was the part with
Nancy and is that what you were going to say?
The one where you have a whole cool, actually, we'll come back to it because you have a whole cool idea of how they could have done it with Hazel, the whole Hazel thing.
Hazel, right.
We're gonna hold on. I don't want to miss the opportunity. A lot of people are going crazy now over the wedding scene. Avis says here, the wedding scene could have been written and handled better. Olivia should have pulled Leonard aside to talk to him privately and let him down easily. And her parents were just as much as fault, if not, and I may have cut off with the rest of what she was saying. I listen, Avis, I agree with you. I feel like
me too.
Right, Christina. The writing was off for that because go ahead, Kathy, about her being a strong person. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, none of us, I don't think, intend to second guess the writers. So what they do with the it was lame, but I mean, if you're going to use an actor who's as wonderful and skilled and experienced and gifted,
very well known,
he could have added nuance to that scene without saying a word. I mean, if you didn't want to give him dialogue, don't give it to him. But the direction, I mean, when he shows some sort of passion, this is a man who was so in love with Olivia that he ditched, his fiance
and put his reputation
with her. Yeah. And number one, this is the thanks he gets that, you dump him publicly at the altar.
Amen, Kathy.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
You show no anger, no passion, no, even if you want to plead with her, don't do this, let's talk or whatever.
Right.
That's what I thought, that it was just, it was an ill-conceived scene.
Right. Go ahead, Carrie and Jan. Go ahead, Carrie.
I totally thought he was going to go after her at some point.
Yeah.
I did too. I did too.
I kept pausing my TV to see how much time was left, to see if there was time for him to actually run after her at the carnival.
Mm-hmm. I did too.
Even in the church, as they were going out the door, even to do something as simple as saying, Olivia, wait, let's talk. anything. There was just
Oh,
nothing.
that look at the end that she gave him, I was like, I wanted to slap her myself. I was like, you know what? I was
Yeah.
like, why are you giving him that look for? You know, I was like, he was there for you, you know?
She says, you should call Barb. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? No.
Yeah,
I was like, and so it's Arlene says they dumped Olivia down in the last couple of episodes. Yes.
And they thought they were empowering her, making
Yes.
her a strong woman to ditch this man at the altar. What they did was the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was turning into a great
Truly.
transformation to a pink lady. And Hazel's reaction to Buddy was weird. And for a finale, only 2 songs. What the H?
I have.
All right. So we're still not done because there's a lot about that scene. What about the whole part where the mother is crying off to the side? So what? The mother never said yes to begin with. It was only the father. Why is the
Right.
father? If he didn't want to do it, why was he? Like you said, she wasn't pregnant. You know what I mean? Like, and the other thing that was weird to me, and I've already said this to all of you, and it irked me, oh my goodness, is when Nancy slaps him and says she's a child.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is true. She is a child. However, these girls, these boys, this cast did not act like they were children. They acted like they were grown. They ran around and did their own thing. They were their own, you know what I mean? Throwing their own parties, making all these. So
at times during the season, there were no adults in the room at all.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking.
The Halloween party was, with the fireworks and all that. I was like, where are the parents?
Yeah.
The only adult in the room was Mr. Daniel when he was down the street.
Jan, go ahead.
I mentioned before, I'm old. I remember those days. If I had done 1/10 of the things that those kids did, I would have been grounded for life. I'd be sitting here, as an old maid because my parents never would have let me out of the house again. It was just so ridiculous at their age. I can still remember one incident when I was 16. I thought my father was gonna that's it, you're grounded. It was not real. It wasn't real. I agree. So that was my comment. And I see Christine saying here,
go ahead, Christine.
It's the fathers dominated the household at the time. Well,
I get that.
Some cases, yes. A lot of cases, probably, and depending on the nationalities of the different people, I think that's so. Yes,
I get that, but again, I get that. But why would they have to be married in 2 days?
Yes,
absolutely. That was to me. Christina, go ahead, Christina.
Okay, my indication on that was in some way after I was rewatching, it seemed to me like Olivia was actually using him.
Yeah.
And that bothered me to an extent. It was like she was using him because her brother was off to boarding school. She was using him as like her ticket out, because the family was worried about, their financial, problems and all that other stuff. And I think that's why she was thinking, and I think the parents too as well, was thinking, oh, well, let's marry her off. That way her future is secure. And I think that's how they were thinking about that. But then after they figured, Richie was going to be out and be okay, then they were like, oh, well, she doesn't have to marry Mr. Daniels now. And I was like,
they didn't convey that though,
No, they didn't, but that's what it seemed like to me.
I agree. And they could have, I don't know, conveyed that. Go ahead, Kathy.
Well, let me get this straight. They can't afford college for Olivia. So she's got to run off and get married, but they can afford boarding school for Richie. Is that?
Yeah, sending him away.
I think it was military.
They can afford the tuition for boarding school. Okay.
It was military.
Military school. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Jan.
That's a time though when the boys went to college and the girls got married.
Yep.
That's what it was. It was unusual for the girls to do anything. If they did something past high school, they became a nurse or they became a teacher. That
Yeah.
was it. But that was it. So yeah,
And
they can
I
afford
wasn't
to do
talking about the
something about it.
positions as much as the financials.
Yes.
Well,
If you
and that's
can't
what I'm
afford
talking
one,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You have enough money to send one off. Well, what's the choice? Well, naturally, the boy is the choice. The girl doesn't have to. She's going to get married. She's going to stay home and become a homemaker. That's the way it was in those days.
Except now she's not. Now she can just stay and be a juvenile delinquent with the other pink ladies.
There you go.
Nikki, it says Olivia has professed her love for Mr. Daniels for a year. And then all of a sudden she does
Yeah.
a 180 and says, I don't want to marry you. Come on, the writers totally messed up that scene.
Yeah.
Kathy, you always had the best case scenario, I think, is that they could have admitted their love for each other and then kept it a secret from everyone, like you had said. And
Or got married.
yes, and
Got married and kept it a secret.
That was
worked
my
it
hope.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get this. They're making a 1950 story with the 2022 mentality. In 1954, there was almost no chance of Olivia going to college. You got that right. Just like I said in the very beginning, in 1954, they just passed the law that it was unconstitutional to segregate school according to race. And here we have African Americans in with and being accepted as a soc. And as a father was a doctor. So
Yeah.
we do know that they're playing around with a little bit of that. We get that. So I'm just thinking about the continuity of the storyline. They're in love. They are so much Chris McNally is a phenomenal actor. He could have played Sleaze. He could have played, Mr. Gentleman. He could have played it any way they had written it. They made you think a bit when they gave the looks and whatnot. That first, remember, Carrie, you and I talked about how he had no dialogue, but he sure had the looks in the conversation where it looked like Sleaze. But then as we got to have the conversation, we saw him protect her when he thought the bomb was there. Go ahead, Christina. What were you going to say?
What I was going to say is it was funny because like at the beginning, Olivia was all upset when he had Barb. She was all upset, like, oh, like he's not paying attention to me, or he's not letting me, write this story and this and that. And she was all upset about it. And she was pushing herself towards him. She found out where he lived, went to his house. Went to his house during the Halloween scene. I mean, you don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't do that. If you're not going to, she was trying to pursue that relationship and trying to get back in with him, in my opinion, when she went to his house. He's trying his hardest, to let her go and try to move on. And that's why he was marrying Barb. And then she tries to move herself back in by going to his house and giving him those looks and all that other stuff. And then she was going into his classroom. So she was like pursuing it, in my opinion. And then at the end, she just like total turnaround,
And I do understand that he's the adult. She is the underage child. I mean, in real life, I do understand all of that. I get that. But the way that the storyline was being written, they trashed it at the end. They made it.
That Barb comment. Barb comment was mean.
Go ahead.
Totally mean.
Go ahead, Jan. And then I wanted to address something that's up here. Go ahead.
During the earlier episodes, as Christina said, when Olivia was running after Mr. Daniels, there was no hint at all about her being supported by her brother or worrying about her brother or hitting her brother or anything. There was nothing.
Right.
So it didn't fall right for me. Okay.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I was just saying, one of my pet peeves with these shows is making them plot driven rather than character driven.
Right.
So I think they started out with this is our show, and this is the way things are going to go. And then they started casting people, and then they had absolutely no regard for the chemistry between characters or the motivations of the characters, or maybe somebody did for the first 6 or 7 episodes, and then the last few, it's almost like the invasion of the body snatchers. Like,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
was the writer's strike already imminent? I mean, did
No.
some of the writers strike and they just hired someone from SD to finish?
AI.
Yeah, there was no continuity of character, and there was no chemistry of character. Olivia and Mr. Daniels, in a few years, I'll grant you, would be perfect for each other because they were already in love. Olivia and Gil, I'm sorry, it's like you passed two people passing each other in the mall, but now she's jealous because he showed up with the Catholic school.
Right.
I just.
I like hold on. I love everything you're saying. I do not know how to pronounce this. So it's IQUO. I know who you are. How do you think we pronounce that?
I'm thinking Eco.
Eco. I would say Eco, yeah.
Okay. Hello. She was saying, I think you're putting too much on Olivia to have acted maturely, regardless of their free spirit. They are still kids. I agree. But the way the story is written, it is not written that way. You never think of them as children. They're always very mature. They're talking about sex. They're talking about school. They're talking about drugs. They're talking about, they're throwing
even in the movie Grease.
Yes. Yeah.
Even in the movie Grease, they all seem like they're older than what they are.
And Olivia dressed like she was a grown woman. It says Olivia didn't dress and act like a naive child all season. Remember the distracted song? Yep. And she was mature beyond her years until the last episode. You are correct.
Right.
So I'm not disputing that they were children because they are. But the way it was written, you can't just suddenly just dump it all at the end.
I thought at the end they were going to say, Mr. Daniels was going to say, you know what? I agree. We should wait till you graduate. Let's wait. Or I thought maybe she would say, let's wait until I graduate. And he would be like, okay, I agree with you. I'm here for you whenever you need me, or something like that nature. But the slap and the Barb comment, that threw me. And I was like, that's just mean because he was there for her. He was kind to her. He wasn't like some pedophile who was, trying to get with every girl in the school. He loved her.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jan.
I think that they knew that Chris wasn't going to be back and they just had to get rid of Mr. Daniels. So they just washed him away, so to speak. That was that. Okay, he's gone.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't see how he would fit in beyond this point.
No, I don't mean that. I'm saying that doesn't necessarily mean he was one season. I see where he could fit in. I do see that.
He could fight for her. Maybe he could fight for her.
I think that would make it interesting.
So. I'd like to see that.
I don't think she deserves him anymore.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
The sunset with Gilly.
Don't agree to disagree.
Kathy.
Nikki said they played Olivia to be smart, mature all season, wanting to go to college. Mr. Daniels could have helped her to get into college and get through it because he did
for it.
Her mind.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Christina. We haven't really, if there's heard from you, like something you wanted to focus on, that is your turn. If you wanted to, yeah.
Oh, well, what I was focusing on was Mr. Daniels at the church. That's what I said. But I was really impressed with the show prior to the last two episodes. The last two episodes, like you said, there was a huge change in so many of them. And Nancy, I didn't think Nancy had to slap Mr. Daniels. And the look at the end, with Olivia and him, I really thought that he was either going to run after her or he was going to say something. And there was like nothing said. Yeah. And at the end, when Jane said, when Jane came out of the crowd and she said, Zuko, that to me was like an Easter egg from like the movie. Yeah. That reminded me of Olivia coming out of the crowd and she's like, she sees Danny. And she notices.
Yeah, because
she noticed Danny, at her school.
Yeah.
And that's what that kind of reminded me of. But that Zuko business, I don't know where that's going to lead.
another
But-
a quadrangle or a more love interest. So I
But-
wanted to go back and I wanted to. So let's say I want to say something here. I always say a lot of stuff. Sorry, I act like I don't, but I do. I wanted to say that the singing and the dancing and the costumes and the scenes are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the actors and they did the dancers, they're phenomenal. I mean,
I agree.
they're talented. I take nothing away from any of them. Some of them, this is their first big thing, and they're more than knocking it out of the park. They're amazing.
Mhm.
But some of the storyline is just not enough. And when I moved back, and I know when you think about Grease, the movie, which is a 2-hour movie, it's not a series, which is, it's not quite 10 hours, but when you add it up, it's more than a 2-hour movie. So in the movie, the main thing was being accepted, figuring out who you were, falling in love with each other, that kind of thing. We get that. All those girls trying to figure out where they're going to be in the world. Okay, so then that could be kind of like what the storyline is here, but it wasn't. The only real true storylines, when you think about it, was the one with Mr. Daniels and Olivia. Would they get together? Was he, was he a pedophile? What, did he really care for her? Did she care for him? How would that go? There was that storyline. Then there was the whole storyline of Cynthia and discovering like who she really was, right? That went through, and that was pretty meaty, those two. Then what's the next one? Hazel. Every time we saw Hazel, it was always, do I fit in? I need a friend. And then she tried to be with, and no, they don't accept me. I need a friend. I need a friend. I need a friend. That's a weak storyline. I wasn't shocked that she became a pink lady, because the pink ladies were about fitting in and making friends. So, okay, it was obvious they would choose her. Okay, fine. And then the other thing was Jane. Was she or wasn't she going to be the class president for a whole season? That's what we were waiting for.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
And then she did nothing with that part.
Nothing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
What did
nothing.
she do? Yeah,
She
no.
even almost accepted that. Oh, even though the election wasn't fair, I lost. Big
Yeah.
I know.
did not continue going to fight for it.
Yeah, I know.
And then relying on weak triangles.
Yes, weak, very weak triangles. And they're weak because they didn't give us enough meat. We get little tidbits of who they are. We know about Wally because of a 2-second conversation here and a 2-second conversation there. So you either have to make a meaty scene, like a meaty storyline, or you have to really develop your characters so we know them. And you can't just do a little bit of each. I don't know. I feel like it got away from them. Tanya, she says she acted grown up, but obviously she was not truly mature, which is true. She was not truly mature. I get it. But she was this entire time.
That's it. She was until she wasn't.
She even said when Jane first came, oh, suck it up because they don't like you. Either or take a stance.
Yes.
That's what she told her from the get-go. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, she's a wishy-washy. Oh, my brother left me. What am I going to do? My life is over. And I'm like, what? Like, it just,
Yeah, like I said, I was really hoping that at the end they were really going to have Mr. Daniels, come out and say, let's just wait, and redeem him in some way.
Yes.
But,
as I say, to me, it was just wishy-washy. It was like the tide was on its way out and one big wave came in and got him and just washed him away. There was nothing. There was absolutely no drama to it. I mean, I guess it was supposed to be dramatic. I didn't find it dramatic. I didn't like the way the girls came in. I didn't like the way he said, well, your friends can stay if you want them to. There was nothing, as Rose says, there was no meat to it. There was no meat to it. You know what? I think a real high school troupe could have done a better job. Drama class could have done a better job than this group did.
Go ahead.
Right. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one of the problems we were just talking a couple minutes ago about triangles is you can't just have a triangle. you have to have some chemistry between each
Yes.
member of the triangle. And bless Buddy's heart. I think this guy is a good actor. He's an excellent actor because I was really drawn into his struggle after he discovered what his father was and he started drinking and
Right.
just really wrestling with who am I? Who did I think I was and where am I going? I thought that was a way more compelling story than trying to having him try to decide, do I want to be with Jane or do I want to be with Hazel? Which I don't think he has that much chemistry with either one of them. But maybe Susan, I could see a couple of sparks there if he wanted to get back with her. But it's they've got the formula in their heads and they're just determined to make the characters and the storylines drop into those formulas, and it is.
Yeah. I think Buddy and Hazel's gonna try to get together.
Yeah, they're working.
She can break Wally's heart.
And then Wally's gonna be, left out in the deep end.
Yeah, let me know how that turns out.
Yeah, but Wally's a good guy, so
I know.
And he's crazy about her and has been since the moment he saw her.
I know. Arlene says, I would love Mr. Daniels to terrorize the Pink Ladies next season, not criminally, but through using his teacher skills, like to attribute to their Pink Ladies antics and the school newspaper.
I think, he could really come back, though. I really do. I think there's a storyline still for him.
I don't know if I'm interested in the storyline they would come up with for him. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the storyline of him and Olivia, forbidden love. I really got that and I liked it. I don't know if I would enjoy any other storyline with him.
Yeah.
Michael says Buddy and Hazel will be an interesting storyline in the next season.
I hope not.
And they're talking about or to date Buddy or her dad wasn't happy to find out on the rooftop about him talking. Oh, they were saying that Hazel's storyline was confusing. Was Buddy really interested in her or was it just wishful thinking? And then someone's like, her parents would never allow her to be a Pink Lady.
No.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow her to date Buddy either.
That's before the transfer.
That's what I think. I agree.
They would not. No way.
No, but she's going to transformed. By season 2, she's going to have a big old beehive and wearing spandex and singing naughty songs. Their parents are going to throw up their hands.
I think that Buddy might like Hazel, not romantically, but for her intelligence. If like as a friend, because she's just not, she's one of the guys, but she's smart, even though she's not at all like one of the guys. She's a smart person. So, I don't think there's any real romance going to develop there. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, if we're treating it as if it were a real thing, the writers might, but we as the viewers are looking at it from a different point of view. Yeah. I wanted to get back to the idea that Jan, you had. So when they had the scene, somebody posted it on the fan page. They had the scene where they want Hazel to be a part of it's here on the fan page. They wanted Hazel to be a part of the Pink Ladies, and they have her dancing in front of this area, and it's very similar to this. And you had a whole other idea of how they should have gone about it with the mirrors, right? You want to share?
Sure. The crazy mirrors that they have where, you walk down the aisle or whatever, and in one mirror, you've got a long neck and a short body, and another one, you look totally different, blah, 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 and done that whole thing through dancing, through singing. And then at the end, all 5 of the gals, a slightly larger mirror, all 5 of the gals stand together in front of this one mirror, and they all discover that they are the same. Right. When everything is said and done, they look the same. So that was my idea.
I like that idea. Instead of just, you said, repeating what was already done. Some people think it's like a nod. The people are calling it an Easter egg. But I also feel like it was a nod, but it wasn't. Because that moment was when Sandy was like, I'm going to, that's it. I'm just going to do this.
I'm in my black tights and
I'm just going to do whatever. And he
good.
Yes. And he was trying to be the other way for her. So it was almost like the gift of the Magi kind of thing. And then they kind of just said, you're the one that I want. Who cares what anybody else says? They had already graduated and they were leaving. That's another thing. That in Grease 1 and 2, that carnival happens at the end of the
school year, right?
That was not what this was. Go ahead, Christina. What did you
I was waiting for somebody to dress up. I didn't know who, but I was waiting for somebody to dress up in like a black shirt, tight black pants with their hair all done up and everything like, Sandy, and coming out and having a song. I didn't know who it was. For some reason, I was thinking it was going to be Olivia singing it, or Jane, but I don't know. I was just imagining that, towards the end, and that was going to be like the end, but didn't happen. Maybe in season 2.
Go ahead, Carrie.
Well, if you look a couple of weeks ago, that was actually what Dot did.
Yeah.
She came out in the big hair and
and she went stud.
Yeah, the whole stud thing.
Yeah, that's true. That was their mini version
already
of it.
done, right?
Yeah. So I guess I get what you're saying.
But see, I thought she was trying to be like Cha-Cha. She was dressed like her.
Well, yeah, but she.
That's true.
But of course, it wasn't.
What she said was.
What she said, and then she had to be dressed up, formally because it was their.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. I kind of like saw her as being Cha-Cha, but then she said something like what Sandy said. It was confusing.
Exactly.
A combo, whatever, throw it in kind of thing.
Yes.
Ava said, I will be totally honest that the only reason I watched this was to see Chris. If he won't be back, I'm probably done with the show.
Hey, I agree with you on that one. I mean, I liked it, but if he's not on it, I might watch it. I just won't be as enthused about watching it.
So my question is, what are they going to do after season 2? Where can they go with this? I don't see how they can go beyond season 2.
We'll have the triangle between Buddy and Walt and Hazel. And we'll have the triangle between Gil and Olivia and whoever. And we get to wait and see if Assistant Principal McGee is going to become the principal when the other principal moves into the superintendent spot.
And Zuko.
Who's going to be the teacher to replace Mr. Daniels? Will Nancy
I'm going to beat my head against the wall.
Will Nancy and Potato end up together? It's just chock full of.
And then at the end, who's Zuko?
Wait, I know, but it's probably his brother. I mean, come on now. Someone said, "Oh, it's his father." No, it can't be his father.
No, I think it's a brother. I do think it's a brother, but it's like what I'm questioning is how does Jane know him?
Because he was.
And why was she mad at him?
She said, "This is my friend." Because when Gil introduced me, he said, "I want you to meet my friend from New York," and that's when Jane went and said. So, so they probably knew each other, probably dated and didn't like each other. It's obvious whoop-de-doo. Yeah. But what we're going to give another who do you want kind of thing. I don't know. I like where this is true. This was funny. And I forgot about this part, but I love when no one could get the annoying principal into the dunk tank, but then the father went by, he had enough and he just made him go right in.
I had another thought on that as well. Instead of that repeat race that they did with the cars,
the girls,
why couldn't they have come up with some idea of playing some of the games at the carnival and then maybe 3 out of 5 contests to see which side could dunk the principal more often? I mean, that way they would have had a chance to get their frustration at the principal out. I would have loved that.
I thought the race was pointless.
Yes,
I mean, it was clearly pointless.
And then whoever wins, then the other one will confess. Really, that was like.
And then what was up with Susan doing that to Gil? That totally blew my mind.
Well, Susan's just the classic mean girl, so she had that's.
Except she's not. Susan made a lot of progress.
She did.
She defied her mother. She got off those drugs, the amphetamines her mother had her on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To
And
the
then
situation with
and
Bud.
then at the end,
She had
And then
developed
regresses.
empathy and friendship with Jane, and now she's back to being a minger, like I said.
But
yeah,
Susan,
she just like totally went psycho.
Over in the last couple of episodes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Susan did that because that's kind of what was done in the original Grease. In the original Grease, a penny was dropped
Yeah.
and a guy hit his head. So the original guy that was going to
Yeah.
race got put off to the side. And this was the same thing. The guy who was going to race got knocked out of it because he hurt his hand. That was the only purpose of that.
I
It was-
know.
the-
And it
again,
was poor. It was
it
a poor.
was.
Yeah.
I just think that whole scene was stupid. But the
Although I
whole
do,
show
I do
was
like the fact
great.
that they stole the principal's carburetor out of his
Oh
car.
God, I love that.
Yes.
I love that they stole McGee's car too to go and say,
Yes.
she's like, I would have given you a lift. And she would have. She
Yes.
would have done anything for a girl's mind. You know, she would have definitely been there to help save. Paula, it's not the father. It cannot be the father because why would the father hang out with Jane and kids? It's not, and it's only a few years difference, like 4 years. Like when you see the younger siblings, Gil's sister and Frenchie, that's about how old Danny is right now in this time frame. So it's his
Mhm.
brother or cousin. It's not the dad. And let's see. What did I want to point out? There was something. Oh, season 2 will be the second semester of their junior year. Yes, that's what I had I had thought that's what was how the timeline would go. McGee said that the winter carnival was the winter break. Yeah, so they have an entire semester of junior year left. They do, and that's how I thought all along they would do this because it was dragging so slow and it wasn't getting far ahead. So I agree with I you're right. That is the timeline. Do we all want to talk about I'm sorry. We have to be sensitive about this only because of the way rumors are flying, but I wanted to address a couple of things about this. This has to do with the actor Jonathan Nieves, who plays Richie, and all the stuff flying all suddenly all
Yeah,
over.
I sent you that link today.
Yeah, but I read that article and I'll talk about that too. But the thing I wanted to say was one, a lot of people or several people will email me or identify some of the people that are on there that are family members and somehow associated with the show itself, whether it be a cast member under a different name or whatever. But they associate this podcast with the fan page, and the only connection that there is that I joined the fan page straight on. I think there were like 25 members at the time, and it was the only fan page around. And the two people who run the fan page, I personally don't know them and they don't personally know me. But after a little bit of time, they asked if I would be a moderator, and I said sure. So that, I got connected that way. I'm not saying anything against them, but what I am saying is if it were me and Christina, you and I run fan pages together, and I learned quite a bit because Christina did this way ahead of me. We don't put speculation up and we don't put rumors up. We don't put anything that's not official, because then it becomes like this. People are so impassioned by the show and they start writing things, and then we forget that that's a real person there. You're talking about a real human being. And someone got on the fan page last week, and just in the comments, that person wasn't even on a day, and started writing, oh, guess what? The actor who plays Richie isn't coming back. And I said, that official news. It's not. We need to get that off. Please don't do this. And I have an inside, and we went back and forth, and I thought in the end there is no insider information from that particular person. And then today I see, and I didn't approve it, posts that are going up about, here's this article, and Christina sent it to me. If you read the article, it straight up says literally says one person was on Twitter and said, oh, it looked like CGI was put on Richie's head. And we have to admit, in episode 9, something did seem off. Are you in all agreement with that or no? With them?
Yes.
Right. Okay. But whether these rumors are true or not, that's not the point. They're not official. And who are we to out it and put it there? We don't do anything but create more social media drama. It does nothing for the show. It hurts the actor, and I am not for. As a matter of fact, it makes me want to back away from certain things. It's
Right.
not important. Why do I have to know why an actor is or isn't on a show anymore? That I don't need to know that. All I need to know is when it's official, if the actor's on or not, then I can make the decision if I want to watch a show or not. You know what I mean? Like I don't we don't need to air somebody. What if it is something serious? Why wouldn't we want to trash someone or speculate
Exactly.
hurt instead of like, then that's why people don't want to come on your podcast. That's why people don't want to join fan pages, and that's why people don't want to participate in social media.
Yeah,
Like,
it could be a personal reason, and we don't need to
we
exploit
don't even know
that.
if it's true. That's the whole
Yeah,
point.
we don't even know.
Yeah.
It's just somebody, caught that and said something.
My attitude is, why can't you be positive instead of negative?
Like,
Right.
why is that?
He's not
Oh,
coming.
yeah.
He's not available right now because he's doing something else in his profession. That's positive. That's to me the way I think everybody should look at it. And then, God forbid we find out otherwise. But there are so many things. I mean, in the scene where Olivia was thinking about when she was married, in the black and white version where she was married, she had to do the drink. And do you really think that was Chris sitting on the couch reading the newspaper?
With the
No,
newspaper, that was not him.
it wasn't.
No.
It was not. Why did they have to put Richie for that one little tiny scene in 9? He could have been busy doing some other professional tidbit that he had to do. So
He could have been sick.
You could have had COVID. It was during COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bottom line is none of our business. You
Right.
know, the only thing
that's exactly
he owes
right.
us, the only thing he owes us is a good performance, which is what I've been seeing so far.
Yep.
Anything else is, as Roxy said, strictly speculation, and it could be very harmful to this young man and his career. And that's the part I really resent. It's just this close to online bullying, because you're just posting a lot of speculation. And I would urge people and encourage them, if you're reading this stuff and you feel the need to read it, but don't spread it around. Don't share it, because you could be hurting someone and their career and their personal life.
That's just like on the Chris McNally fan group. We don't allow stuff that's not true. I mean, we don't allow stuff to exploit his family or, any of that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, you don't know who's on your site. His family could be on there, and I'm sure they're not going to want to read something that is, going to put down the actor or exploit his personal life or something. And that's just wrong. It's just wrong. And especially if it's not true.
Right. We don't
if
know.
It's a rumor.
It could be. Yeah. And that was my point. That was my comeback when some of these people were messaging me. I wrote to them and I said, you're missing my point. I don't care if it's true or not. It's, you're in the know. So you can't wait to tell us. Why? Whoopee, we don't care. What are you, Newsbreak? You got a flashing Newsbreak? Your channel, well, for me, it's channel 6. I don't know what's for other people. Like, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not the point. The point is it's not official. So you're not the official person to make the announcement. So I don't care to see it. There's a reason why it's not official. It might.
Yeah, was one person that noticed that?
Well, that was last week, but now it's more. It's out there. It's on social media. I've been looking ever since that happened. And just an FYI, just from my short experience and with all of this, I have had to sign NDAs sometimes, like a non-disclosure agreement. Sometimes, not often. I can count on one hand how many times to have an actor, director, writer come on. That's what the publicist or the studio wanted. No problem. You sign electronically. You do all that stuff. But I have never, ever, and I have talked to writers, directors, cast, crew, lighting, art design, costumer, whatever you can imagine, all kinds of people. Never once did anybody in any capacity for CBS, Paramount, Hallmark. I mean, like the list of once ever say, oh, and hint at something. Never, 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 not once. So when someone does say that, that person is truly not a professional, because if they all sign NDAs, and if they are talking, they're in breach and they're not professional, and there's a hint, they don't know what they're talking about. Don't even bother, you know? So anyway, there's my rant. Michael, Nancy's reaction when Mrs. McGee caught them stealing the car was priceless.
Carburetor.
Oh, she did.
Oh yeah. She was
Herself.
like, she took her glasses off and she was like, oh, I need to get these glasses fixed. I was like, oh, she's a classic. That was cool.
She's the best. I can't wait to see who her assistant is. It's going to be.
I know.
Yes. Well, if I want to watch again, I will. No, I will.
You'll watch again.
Hey, maybe the assistants and Mr. Daniels will get together.
Beige Barb might come back.
Oh, oh, that would make.
They've ruined that character.
They ruined Beige Barb.
No, Mr. Daniels. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't see. No.
Well, listen, he could do it. They can redeem it, but look at this, Mr.
Maybe
Daniels.
he'll buy a bar and open up a tavern where
A saloon, yes.
get drinks and a place for everyone to come and convene and have meetings.
Happy, you got something there. You have got something there.
What can we call it? The I don't know. We'll have to come up with a good name for it. Listen, Mr. Daniels has signed a contract to teach for the year, so he needs to come back for season 2. You know what? This is true, Nikki, in the real world. But also, let's just talk about, I know that there was, white male privilege during that time, but where was there someone who was a principal that never even went to college?
Right.
In a public school system, maybe private. I mean, that to me.
And now he wants to be superintendent.
Right.
That was crazy.
That to me was, you didn't do your research on public schools. That bothered me. That's a no. But in real life, they you can get out of your contract. You can give them notice, or they may have wanted him out of his contract because he, caused a scandal. So who knows? I mean, who knows what is what? But we have to be in agreement, because we just trashed this episode. We have to be in agreement that, we don't have to be in agreement, but like I said before, it has nothing to do with, the cast is amazing. Every one of them. There's not one that doesn't have a memorable moment to me. I think they're all adorable. Even like sort of the background, like Peg, how she was always super mean. Like she's one of the socias. I had the actress on. She's adorable. I love her. And they kept, she did a great job. Even when we see Nancy's parents for a hot minute and Jane's parents for a hot minute, all of them, like I said, the costuming, just the whole setup. Oh,
Frenchie. I think they picked phenomenal actress for Frenchie. Yes. She sounds like her. Yes. She acts like her. I mean, just phenomenal.
I did something. I was looking at last names, and often in the original casts for for Grease 1 and Grease 2, they didn't always say their last names. So when Frenchie comes back and she is in the Grease 2, her last name unofficially, they call her Francine, and it's Austin. But that's the only time I've ever seen it in the lineup in the log, because of course we know that's not what it is for the show. It's just a little tidbit that I found. That was all. What's this? Maybe Julie could join as the new Spanish teacher. Julie does speak good. Yeah, Julie is Julie Gonzalo. She's an actress.
There you go.
How nice was it that Cheyenne's dad thanked the fan page and said he bragged about us to her? Yep, I love it.
I know, that was awesome.
And that's important. So there's like I said, there are family members on that page. I know that there is a like manager is on, there's one of their managers is on the page that I know of. There could be more. I know that there is at least one actor that's on the page but has a different name. So there's family members, cousins, aunts, uncles, parents, and it's supposed to be a safe place for just, you don't have to love everything. You can put something in that you're disappointed. We're not saying that, but it should be official information, not
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can say your opinion.
Mhm.
You can say your opinion. That's not a problem. But when you say that it's an actual fact and then it's,
Yeah, you don't
and
know.
it's not.
You have to be kind and remember that you're talking about characters. You're not talking about real
Yeah.
people or the actors.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I agree. The acting, I think, was done well. I think that they acted the way they were directed, the way it was written. Sometimes it was good. Sometimes it was not quite what we're used to.
Mhm.
And as I think about it, I think Rowan, Kathy, you used to say when we were talking about the way home that they
Mhm.
should let you rewrite some. They should let you do some of the scripts. Let us get in on some of this. We can change it around. That's all.
Well, I just hope that some of the people from the show, writers, producers, whatever, are watching this because I will say we want Mr. Daniels back. Whether he's good or bad, we want him back. Because I tell you what, I think 90% of the audience that were watching were Chris McNally fans. That's just my opinion.
I would only want him back in a decent storyline.
Right. And
Yeah.
I don't mind if he doesn't come back. I'm fine if it's not going to be a decent storyline. I love the Pink Ladies. There was no Mr. Daniels in the original, and the girls and the guys are amazing. I just would love a nice, good, meaty
Do you
storyline.
guys think Richie's going to come back?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was commenting before we came on about my scenario, if I might repeat it
Oh, yes.
for the first episode of season 2.
Okay.
I think that Susan's mother is going to get after the Board of Ed and say, look that you've got to bring them back. You've got to bring Buddy back, even though he said he was at fault because he is the star quarterback. And then they decide, okay, it wasn't a school project. It wasn't on school grounds, so they wind up, everybody comes back. Richie comes back, Buddy comes back. They have all the original students coming back, and they're going to add on. They may drop Mr. Daniels, but I think that the main characters are still going to be there. That's my opinion.
I can think. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead,
I
Kathy.
didn't raise my hand.
Go ahead.
I can think of one scenario that just popped into my mind that I could get with Mr. Daniels' character coming back, and that is if the principal becomes the superintendent and McGee becomes the principal. I think it'd be hysterical if she hired Daniels as her assistant principal, and he could rule it over the Pink Ladies and the T-Birds and everybody. I think that would be so fun.
Wouldn't that be wild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ava
That would be
said,
cool.
what do you think is going to happen with the girls from the private school? You mean St. Bernadette's?
Yeah,
They don't have a really huge part in Greece.
Yeah. No.
They're a
No.
small little part. They bring in, to cause conflict.
Cha-cha.
Yes,
Yeah,
her part's
Pacha
not that
Gregorio,
big.
right?
Yeah, people mention that, but her part's not so huge either. It's just like a catalyst for conflict, and they probably will do the same. I'm sure of it because they already hinted at it in that last episode.
But
So yeah,
it's so false. I mean, they come out of nowhere, and again, Olivia's jealous. Where did this come from?
I know.
It drives me crazy when characters just do stuff that makes no sense.
Yeah. If you're going to give it Easter egg or a hint or whatever, it has to be, You know what? They should take a page from oh, what is that singer's name? She's a blonde. She's so famous and her name went right out of my head. She
Madonna?
always no,
Whoopi Goldberg?
no. She just had a huge concert that came this way.
Taylor Swift?
Yes. She puts Easter eggs in all of her videos.
Yes.
And
Every time. I knew that's who you were talking about.
And they need to take a page from her or hire her to help them place
Yes.
the Easter eggs in the storyline because she's fabulous at it.
Yeah.
Nikki says, I did comment on a post made by the director and told her that they need to bring Mr. Daniels back and that it would be a big mistake if they didn't. Okay.
I agree.
And, yeah, they're liking your thought about that. Okay, good. So, yeah, here we are. Do you think, because we're so in love with the show and I haven't really found any ratings, is it out there? Are people going crazy over it? How's it doing in the ratings? Do we know?
I kind of wonder if because you have to pay for Paramount Plus to see it, there are fewer people viewing it. So
See, yeah, I'm with you on that one because there's a lot of people that want to watch it that says I'm not paying for that, I'm not going to pay for it just to watch that show. And so, I mean, I think if they do bring it back, I think that they should put it on MTV like they originally was going to do. I don't know why, but for some reason they only showed one episode on MTV and then they stopped.
It was a teaser to get them on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think too is that I am in no way affiliated with Paramount Plus, but I have different streaming systems, and then I have cable too, and then I get rid of them or whatever. But when I took on Paramount Plus, I was like, oh, this is a phenomenal streaming system. I should get rid of others. People should look into it because you get a lot of good things.
You do. And I love it too. I agree with you on that. I do too.
Yeah. So
it is a really good streaming. There's a lot of movies on there that I haven't seen.
Yes.
A lot of series on there.
Yeah.
Really good one.
What is it? The Equalizer?
The Equalizer, yeah.
I'm watching Fire Country now.
Oh, good, because that's my next thing.
Yes. It's really good. Yes. Yes, it is really good.
Off topic, Carrie, Cindy is saying that she has the same pin as you.
Oh, thanks.
And Avis says that Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 5.2.
I'm seeing it middling on star ratings from people.
What is it?
I'm seeing middling star ratings for this show.
Yeah.
But again, it could be because everybody doesn't have the platform.
Right. Yeah. But I was thinking that if Paramount Plus has a lot on there, and if they wanted to truly invest in, if anybody's out here listening, so I'm telling you, if you are a parent to one of the actors, if you're one of the actors, if you're a director, if you're whoever, and you're out there listening, this is what I strongly say. This is my strong opinion about this. Who they gave interviews to were very selective. And I know why they did it, because when you did their research and you saw what podcasts or who they were allowing to interview, it appeared as if that particular person had a connection, like to a famous magazine or to a bigger outlet. But if you went and you checked their analytics, and I'm a number person, maybe their interview with, I don't know, Tom Cruise had 1 million views, but their interviews with the cast were less than mine. And I have nowhere near the amount of followers that they have. So whoever's out there doing their publicity, they need to step it up for them and do a better job and reach more of an audience. That's my suggestion.
I guess they said that it's streaming now.
Right.
So
yes.
They've been posting that. Pink Ladies have been posting it, but
yeah.
You're
right. They're just saying the different things. They were exclusive. You're right. Yeah. So anyway, they just need to do a better job of getting their people like out there promoting and allowed. I don't know if they just don't want to do it or whatever, but the few that they have, the people that are watching, their audience it's a different audience. It's not the same. So anyway, that's that.
Well, a lot of those actors and actresses on there, there's a lot of those times it was like their first time
So you
in a
would have,
big role.
yes, you would have thought that they were getting them on wherever they could, and
Yeah.
they didn't. They didn't. Yeah.
Here's an off-topic question.
Yeah.
Anybody hear anything about how the writers' strike is going? Because that too can have an effect.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to be affecting a lot of shows, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
No.
And who knows where that's going. And then
Yeah.
as the other contracts come up for negotiation, if they don't go well and don't get to the stage they need to get to, I know that the One Actors Association has already voted and that they would strike. They're not going on strike. They will strike if they get to the point in negotiations where it's not going. You don't just automatically strike, which a lot of people think. So who knows? Don't know. Michael's agreeing that there was enough buzz, and I read they've reached an agreement. Oh, well, that's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be
Wow.
nice. That would be very nice.
I hope they did.
Maybe we should think about unionizing so we can have a united voice in how some of these shows go.
What happened?
Yeah.
I said maybe we, as a group, we should all unionize so we can have a voice.
Yeah.
So
Good idea.
United watchers of Hallmark and Paramount Plus.
There you go.
Chris is saying, whenever people saw me in my Pink Ladies t-shirt or jacket, they would comment about that, but never watch the show. So I told them, you know what, Chris, you were right. That happened to me. And it also happened, like, I would post stuff on my personal page and my family, and they're all big Grease fans. They're like, oh no, I never saw the show. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And there's so many people that I know that are, I'm a huge Grease fan, but I can't imagine, a sequel series being, anything better than the movie or,
I mean, even when I went to the movie a couple weeks ago, these were all huge Grease fans, and we were all singing along in the movie theater, and of course I had my jacket on, and they asked me, why I had the jacket on, and I actually told them about the podcast and all that, and they're like, "Oh, we had no idea what about the show."
I know.
Yeah. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't know about it.
They need they need to self-promote. I mean, you can go out. Listen, you can go, and when I get a notification that says, "Oh, we have to ask the publicist if we can," that to me this is what that code is. That code is, I don't really want to be on unless I have to be, because you could go promote yourself anywhere you want. I mean, there's no legal law against any of that, but they should, step it up, get out there, whoever they can, gobble it up, get all over the place, because you never know how it's going to, catch fire. Brian's saying, and Brian's a good source, he's a good researcher. He said, no, the DGA reached an agreement today. The WGA is still on strike. Okay.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And Nikki's saying, oh, yes, I saw that, Nikki. I saw you say that before. I see everything. We see all the comments, even though we might not broadcast all of them. And it would be fun to have Todd to come back on. But then again, what is Todd going to share with us? Todd can share with us any behind the scenes that he had, all, whatever he can. I mean, that kind of thing. It's always fun to have actors on after the series, and they can share little tidbits, but they're not going to share anything about season 2. They can't. And I don't even ask. Yeah, I don't even ask. Me too. Paramount Plus needs to run the classic movies and series side by side. Oh, that would be nice. That would be really nice. Everyone I asked if they had watched Pink Ladies, and they had not heard of it. I know. Yeah,
I know, because I want to tell you something. I wore this shirt one time, and they were like, Grease. They're like, who's Mr. Daniels in Grease? And I was like, oh, it's Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies. It's a sequel of, how the Pink Ladies became, who they are. And they're like, where is that? I mean, they were like, where is that? Never saw it. Is it a movie?
All right, Paramount Plus. Paramount. I've been in touch with some of the publicists with Paramount Plus. They gave me one of them gave me a press kit and whatnot. But my point is that Paramount Plus do a better job of promoting. We'll help you. We will. We will.
Yeah. As I think of it, when I have seen advertisements on TV for Paramount Plus, I don't think I have ever seen an advertisement relating to Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies. Not once.
If you watch any of the other shows on Paramount Plus, they did a pretty heavy, pretty heavy promotion. I got Paramount Plus because I wanted to see all the Blue Bloods episodes. And then got on there, and they've got like tons of my favorite movies and other series. So it's become
But you have to be on Paramount Plus in order to see the advertisements. That's
exactly.
So if you don't want to pay for it, you're not going to see any of the advertisements. And the ads that I get, whether it's on my email or on TV or anything else. No comments about Grease. They have, watch the series of this or the series of that, the ones that have been on regular TV, but nothing exclusive to them. Anyway.
Avis said, I even saw a comment where one lady said, who was Chris McNally? And I thought, what planet are you on? Oh no, Avis, that's because we're big fans of Chris. There are many people that don't know who he is. It's okay.
There is a lot of people that don't know, because my family are like, who's that?
Yeah.
If you don't watch Hallmark, if you're not a big Hallmark fan, you won't know who he is.
Wow.
And but I tell you what, I got 9.8K people in my group that know who he is. And then they love watching him on Grease and all the other shows.
Yep.
So
this is fun. Chris, you said they were on the Today Show. So she said the 4 girls. So as we're leaving, let's leave on a positive note here. So I don't know, who's your favorite? Did you have a favorite Pink Lady or character, and then that shifted when you got to the end?
Yes.
Or it stayed the same? Who was it for you, Christina?
It was Olivia. I really liked Olivia and her feistiness and just, the way she was and how, but towards the end there, I wanted to slap her. So,
the character. Yeah.
Yeah. But for one, I will say that Nancy, I loved Nancy, and I loved her too. She was another one that I loved. I just thought she was real funny, and at the end, I wanted to slap her too. So there you go. That's my point, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Kathy, how about you?
I don't like any of them.
She's in a mood.
Seriously, every episode, one of them in turn, they would just annoy the heck out of me. And so
oh, Kathy, you crack me up.
No, I think my favorite character is actually Susan. I'm not even kidding, because she's come through a lot. She had more to deal with than any of the Pink Ladies, with that monstrous mother of hers who forced her to, have that procedure. And then she got dumped by the guy who she had the procedure by, and and she really liked him. She worked her heart out for his campaign. Then he dumped her. I think, she deserves to be the Pink Lady, not Hazel.
All right. What about you? What about you, Carrie?
So, I mean, I always liked Olivia until the very end too. I wanted to slap her at the end,
You all are violent. you're the real Pink Ladies.
But I also always liked Cynthia too, and I think so. That was, that never changed for me. I liked her all the way through. I think.
Me too.
Yeah.
I know you did too, Kathy, until there's this one thing that Cynthia did that made you aggravated, how she treated Shy Guy. You didn't like that.
That was wrong. That was just
I didn't like it either.
Yeah. Now, what about you, Jan?
Okay, well, I'm going out into left field. I tell you who I'd like to see as a pink lady, which would be beyond hysterical, the vice principal. She could, I mean, I could see her.
Jacket, yeah.
Yes, I could see, she's
Yeah.
signed them in so many, give her a jacket. And
Yeah, give her a jacket. I agree.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. I really would. The other girls, they're good and bad. You're right.
She cracked me up at the end where she was like, I need an assistant. I was like,
I just loved her the whole time,
I know.
a little maniac. And then when they had to stay in because of the storm, and no, get back into your flight. She was just going absolutely nuts, and I loved her. She deserves to be a pink lady.
It's funny that none of you ladies picked Jane, or Janet.
Jane changed in character because it started out she was the main character of the show, and the leader of Pink Ladies, and then it slowly turned into much more of an ensemble.
Yes,
to me, she seems more like a whiner.
Yeah,
she's annoying as hell.
She kind of annoyed me a little bit,
Yeah. As much as you all enjoy Assistant Principal McGee, and I do too, I just love her. Maybe Jan is the only one who I think we may be of an age, but I would have loved to see what Eve Arden, the original Principal McGee in the movie Grease. I would have loved to see what Eve Arden could have done with this part in Rise of the Pink Ladies. She was a fabulous actress.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
My favorite, and I felt like she stayed true to herself the writing for her was Cynthia. That she's my favorite. And she's my favorite voice. Well,
I know
let me correct that. She is the character, but he or they is my favorite voice.
Yeah, they have a phenomenal voice.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
It's my favorite one. I loved Susan and I loved Mrs. McGee. I thought they were great, but I don't know why a soft spot is for Potato.
Yes. As T-Birds, yes.
Funny and he's vulnerable.
Yes.
And Shy Guy, I feel the same way about Shy Guy.
Honestly, I love Gil. I love Gil. His smile just.
He's a good-looking fella, but his attitude is a little arrogant.
Yeah, I like Shy Guy too, and Potato. Those are my favorites of the T-Birds.
I love him.
I'm voting for McGill. I'm sorry, Pink Lady. I'm all the way for her. She needs a jacket.
People are saying Olivia until episode 10.
Yeah.
I started with Jane, but Nancy's craziness is growing on me. Brian likes Hazel the best. Lillian likes Miss McGee also. Oh God, she had some of the best one-liners. Oh my God.
Her and that umbrella with
Yes. Martha likes Potato, and she loved his interview. His interview was phenomenal. He is such
a great guy.
Yeah.
His interview was so awesome.
Avis is saying that she thinks they need some kind of funny janitor at the school that knows all the dirt about everyone at school.
Yeah. That would be good.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Didn't they have a janitor in one of the either in Grease 1 or 2? Didn't they have something like a janitor? I don't know. I don't remember. Of a young Dirty Dancing. Okay. Potato. Arlene saying Potato.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been fun, girls. I know. Let's say goodnight. Oh God, I'm sorry. Now we're laughing because we're just like, never did I have such a controversial podcast recap as this one.
Well, you got 5 ladies on here that all have different opinions. We're all just kind of like blurting everything out there.
That's a good thing. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. Oh, someone said 1.5 hours of fun. Yeah, we really did go overboard.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Yep. So we're
Good.
gonna come away with, if there's a season 2, and I hope, and I think that there is, they need to promote it, get more people out there watching. Yeah.
And have some decent storylines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, get us to write some of them.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to write until the strike is over. So
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, you're right.
No
You're
carbon
correct
ticket
on
lines.
that.
You go, Kathy.
Oh my gosh.
Union.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.